Listen, consistency isn't about never getting off track. It's about knowing exactly what to do when you do and getting yourself back on track quickly, calmly, and without the drama. I am going to show you 5 key steps to do just that. Think of it as building a bridge from that old, exhausting highway to a new, steady road of consistency, one that supports momentum, weight release, and long-term mastery. So if you're ready for a road trip into new territory, come on in. Did you know that our struggle with weight doesn't start with the food on your plate or get fixed in the gym? 80% of our weight struggle is mental. That's right. The key to unlocking long-term weight release and management begins in your mind. Hi there, I'm Rita Black. I'm a clinical hypnotherapist, weight loss expert, best-selling author, and the creator of the Shift Weight Mastery process. And not only have I helped thousands of people over the past 20 years achieve long-term weight mastery, I am also a former weight struggler, carb addict, and binge eater. And after 2 decades of failed diets and fad weight loss programs, I lost 40 pounds with the help of hypnosis. Not only did I release all that weight, I have kept it off for 25 years. Enter the Thin Thinking podcast, where you too will learn how to remove the mental roadblocks that keep you struggling. I'll give you the thin thinking tools, skills, and insights to help you develop the mindset you need, not only to achieve your ideal weight, but to stay there long term and live your best life. Sound good? Let's get started. Hello, and come on in to the heart of January. Here in January, we have gotten used to, I don't know if you have, but I certainly have, writing 2026 in forms. And it's right about this time that I notice that people's New Year's determination begins to flag. Somebody told me that January 11th is actually the day that most New Year's resolutions fall apart. Isn't that funny? But yes, we can believe this because we know we're dealing with that crazy subconscious mind that wants to go back to the old and familiar. So if you're feeling good and empowered with your January plans and goals, well, awesome. Today's coaching is going to help you take that momentum and keep going. And if you're feeling a little less focused and feeling like you may be slipping, I think today's coaching will be really helpful for you to stay on track, because I want to take a look at this with you at this very interesting time, the gray area between getting off track and getting yourself back on track as soon as possible to your weight release journey. So today we are going to uncover the 5 keys to getting yourself back on track as soon as possible. But before I do, I wanted to let you know that here in January, we have a January special, the hypnosis-based Shift 30-Day Weight Mastery self-study process has a special offer that is going to be running through January 21st. And when you enroll, not only do you get this amazing 30-day hypnosis-based process and you get access for a year. And you can access it from the app, online. You can use your phone, your tablet, your desktop. But you also get a free live spring shift process. So you get a free ticket to our live online process, which is going to be amazing this year. And then you also get a New Year's bonus. And it feels weird saying that now 3 weeks into January. Come on, Rita, the New Year's over. But I'm giving you a New Year's bonus of the Shift Weight Mastery Express, which is a bundle of our 5 top hypnosis downloads that include the hypnosis for the desire to exercise, stress management, drinking management, and more. So you can get the links to this amazing promotion in the show notes. Come on, it's a great way to rewire yourself. It's very foundational. It's not just hypnosis, it's foundational hypnosis based at changing the way your beliefs, and not just your habits, but your beliefs and the wiring. You think about being a coder and the wiring. You got to change the wiring in order to get a different outcome, or else it's just going to stay the same. So there are $800 worth of bonuses when you enroll before the 21st of January, and that is 2026. Okay, so let's get talking about getting yourself back on track, which is, in my humble opinion, the keys to the kingdom of weight mastery. Now, I've been maintaining my ideal weight for 30 years. Many of you may know that, and some of you may not. And some of you know it took me 9 months to release 40 pounds and then 29 years and 3 months to maintain it. And now, to be sure, there are many things that I have done to maintain that weight. I have always stayed focused on the 9 skills of weight mastery, which are based on many studies of people who have kept weight off over time. And I really have to emphasize that these are skills and they are not being good. And in the shift process, we immerse you in this amazing skill set and use hypnosis and meditation to do so, to get your deeper subconscious mind that resists change to get aligned with that part of your mind that really wants that long-term weight release, and also to be free of that on again, off again cycle, binging, all of that. So these skills and really narrowing down the skills, like the most important skills I feel for consistency is the mind skills, managing this relationship between your inner critic, your inner rebel, and your inner coach. Because when things go south and you get off track, and my friends, let us be really clear, you are going to get off track in any weight journey. And it's preposterous to think that you won't. We live in a real world. I mean, okay, maybe if you live at a weight loss camp, or you can afford a 24/7 coach to follow you around, maybe, just maybe, you won't get off track. But for the rest of us, we are going to get off track. Now, let me be clear, 31 years prior to releasing weight and keeping it off for 28 years, I yo-yoed up and down the scale pretty much 40 pounds, a good part of my life. Now, the only difference between the Rita pre-shift and the Rita post-shift is really where I put my focus on the 9 skills and really the ability to get back and stay on track. Now, I want to tell you a quick, really funny story. Maybe some of you have heard this, but I think it's been a while since I've told it. So I hope you don't mind me telling it again, because I think it's kind of a hoot. My husband, many years ago, when we were living in London, worked for a man from Australia who was a merchant banker, or not a merchant banker, but just, a banker. He was a stock market guy. He worked in the city. It's called City. There's this special part of London that is really the Wall Street of London, but they call it the City, and it's circled by a wall that is this old medieval wall. I think I've got my history right. But anyway, so my husband would trot off to the city and work for this man. And so he got to know him, and this man was very generous. And he would have me and my husband over to his palatial apartment or flat. I wouldn't call it, even a flat. It was more like a palace, but it was in a building. So, but it wasn't a big estate or house. He lived in Soho. So it had chandeliers and marble floors and all the fancy trappings of somebody who has lots and lots of money. And we loved going over there because, they would feed us caviar and champagne. I mean, they really treated us nice for, we were like, taking the tube over there to their house. And, we did our best to dress up, but, it wasn't that pretty. But anyway, so he was married to a woman named Joanna, who was so full of life. And she was this bubbly woman and very vivacious. And she and I both smoked at the time. And she decided she wanted to quit smoking. So she hired this man, because she had the money, to literally follow her around 24/7. And anytime she felt the urge to smoke, he would talk her out of it. Don't you love that? I mean, what a concept. So she quit smoking because this man followed her around and told her, "Hey, do you really want to do that? I don't think you want to do that. Let's reconsider this. Here are some other things you could do in this moment." So that all worked out really well for her. But the problem was about 2 months later, she had found that she had gained about 20 pounds. And she was horrified because she had all these expensive clothes and she needed to fit back in them and look amazing. So she hired this man back to follow her around and pretty much do the same with her eating and talk her out of any impulse to eat, snack, eat more than, one serving of food at dinner time, etc. And she released the 20 pounds. Now, I don't know if she kept it off, but anyway, that was her MO. That's what she had her do. And I just think that is marvelous that she had the funds to do that. Now, you and I don't know, maybe you've got those kinds of funds, or maybe you want to, throw your money away, but you don't need to, because we do, by the way, have a 24/7 available coach inside our own mind. And we have to just cultivate this coach and cultivate this relationship with this coach and ourselves. And once we do, we have our power back, right? We want to be able to turn down the volume on that inner critic who wants to point out all of our shortcomings, and that inner rebel who just wants to have what she wants to have and doesn't really care about your desires to be healthy, confident, and free. So we've just got to turn the volume down on both of these entities and turn the volume up on our inner coach. So coming back to me and my journey of 28 years of maintaining, which basically, by the way, equals 1,456 weeks, or if you want to look at it in days, that's 10,220 days. I sat down and figured that out. That's a lot of time. And in that time, full and honest disclosure, I have gotten off track over 250 times. I would probably say more like 300 times or 400 times in that time. And I didn't have an outer coach like Joanna to get me back on track, and I had to learn to do it myself as quickly and as lovingly as possible with my inner BFF, inner coach, and like I'm saying, have been able to manage my weight for years, despite being off track that many times. So long-term weight management isn't about being perfect. It's about self-management. I wish they would call it weight self-management, because it really is about managing ourselves. I get off track and I just take the necessary steps to get back on track, and voila, I will continue my journey. So now we are going to focus on you. So our initial problem, so the problem we are up against is when we get focused on losing weight in some way, we feel good, right? We pulled it together after the holidays, we are eating healthfully, and we're feeling good. And it feels good to feel good. It is a high that we get almost addicted to, right? But a sinking feeling in the back of our mind that shoe is going to drop, right? We never feel 100% confident in that feeling good, but we're taking it, we're riding that high, but with that sinking feeling in the back of our mind. And then along comes a day or a weekend or a week where we get off track, where our eating kind of falls apart, where it doesn't look like the plan we were on, or our fasting schedule, or our healthy vegetables and whatever we're eating. But we get out of that groove that we were in. And when it happens, we don't like that feeling. So that feeling of getting off and not being good puts us into what I call a gray feeling. Gray feeling. It's like a thwarted expectation. We haven't been good. We broke our fast. We ate a carb. We didn't eat mindfully, or we didn't eat what we were supposed to. And we don't like how this feels. It feels bad after feeling so good. And back in the back of our brain, the fire alarms go off. And that inner critic swoops in and says, you blew it, right? In some way or another. Maybe not necessarily in that language, but she's letting you know you were doing good and now you're bad. And I'm so disappointed in you. Here you are, failing again. What did you think? We thought we were going to do good. We thought this was the end of our troubles, and you failed me. You disappointed me. Utter disappointment. Now, do we like this feeling? Absolutely not. It feels horrible and awful. And we want to disconnect from this feeling. So now something magical happens in our brain, and this is the weight struggle cycle. This happens. We get in this addictive cycle where we're feeling good, something happens, we get off track, and then that inner critic comes in, abuses us, and then this other part of our mind swoops in and offers an escape. And this escape is so seductive. We're going to be good tomorrow, or we will be good next week. And that seems like such a great idea, right? That is so seductive. I'm going to feel good now and get a fresh start tomorrow. So that promise to be good later, wherever later is, lets us off the hook of this feeling bad, right? So that seems really good, right? But the problem is that what happens when we say we're going to start over tomorrow? Be honest. What happens when we say we're going to start over tomorrow? Do we go back and eat the salad? Or do we go and continue to eat whatever we were eating that got us off track, and then maybe a few things more and a few things more, and we wake up the next morning and we're like, well, tomorrow's not Monday, so I'm going to keep eating till Monday, right? And then maybe we get off track for a longer period of time, or we just are in that place where we are numbing out, not thinking about it, or just, not on track, not where we want to be. So to the extent we promise to be good, really literally gives us permission to be bad. So, and that does provide that relief, and we are off the hook. It does also provide the ability to overeat after probably restricting ourselves and in a very disciplined way, in a very rigid way. And then the impulse is to kind of go in the opposite direction, to start overeating. And this could go on for a day or a week or a month or a year. This disconnect is keeping us from consistency and long-term success. So we kind of get in the habit of doing this, right? It's just that cycle that gets repeated over and over again. That old black and white, be good, be bad, adds to our weight problem. It reinforces the cycle, that struggler identity that we get stuck in, that belief that it's impossible. And all of this is subconscious. All of this also builds and gets stronger and stronger the more it happens. So in the shift process, we focus on this part first, making sure that the you heading on your journey is in a different identity, not a struggler identity. In fact, we make sure that you are in a different world, the world of weight mastery, so that when you get off track, you have way more leverage and are seeing getting off track not as a failure, but as an opportunity to learn and build the getting back on track muscle. But for the moment, let's just focus on breaking free from the cycle of building a bridge over this gray area between bad and good, taking 5 powerful steps into a new set of thoughts and feelings and actions that get you back on track ASAP. And the beauty and the reason of having this process internalized and practicing it over and over is because you're building that muscle of getting back on track. And you will get back on track without much interruption, and that will keep you on your weight release journey so that you can finally get the weight off and keep it off into maintenance. And believe me, maintenance is also a mastery journey, because I have had to get myself back on track during maintenance. And I've worked with many, many people, many, many weight masters it was the same. We're still living our life. We're still being out in the world. We don't, get the gold medal of weight mastery the moment we hit our ideal weight. We are still managing people, places, and things throughout our life. We just happen to be managing them at our ideal weight. But make no bones about it, we get off track, but we know how to get back on track. And I'm just trying to be real with you so that you get the sense and you can get into these 5 steps and really take them to heart so that you can get some traction in this new year. So, drum roll please. Step number 1, accept and rejoice that you have gotten off track. You heard me right. Accept and rejoice that you have gotten off track. Now, here's the reason. Getting off track feels shameful. We tend to tuck it into the dark corners of our mind. We don't want to think about it. We don't want to feel it. We're like, oh, I got off track. I want to get back. I'll start over tomorrow. So let's bring it out, the fact that we've gotten off track, and celebrate it instead and see it as part of your weight mastery journey. Because getting off track, my friends, is as valid as 30 minutes of yoga or a tofu and rice bowl or a tofu and veggie bowl. Because you are going to get off track. So let's rejoice it as an opportunity to get back on track and build that muscle. Now, part of this is you're going to have to stretch because we are going to normally, when we get off track, have flooding feelings of shame and horror. So in that moment, you want to take a breath. You want to feel that feeling and stretch through it and say, yay, I am off track. Just start to do that to rid yourself of the shame of that perfectionistic mind and critic and say, I have a chance now to flex my muscle of getting back on track. Yippee! The more powerful that muscle is, the more masterful you become, the more consistency is your home. Okay? So let's just look at this for fun from a weight management perspective. So let's say I was on a diet and I ate a brownie. I've been eating chicken and broccoli all week and came Friday and I ate a brownie. Now in the physical universe, maybe I ate some sugar and flour and chocolate and maybe it was like 300 calories over what I planned to eat. Maybe it played with my blood sugar a bit. Maybe I was it was outside of my fasting window. Whatever it was, we want to own it. And usually the damage isn't that big in the physical world of weight management. Usually the damage that we do is more in our minds than on the plate. Look at a brownie. Eat a brownie. Mentally, we feel bad. Eeks. Oh, it was horrible. I got off track. That was bad. I blew it. All those words that we say to ourselves and we disconnect and promise to start over tomorrow. Now, so far, I've just eaten a brownie with some sugar and flour. And, in the world of weight management, not that big of a deal. But now, because I've disconnected from myself and I'm starting over tomorrow, I'm going to eat 5 more brownies plus a weekend of overeating. So in the world of physics, the 300 calories now becomes 10,000 calories or more, plus the recovery from all of the GAC or refined foods that we chowed down on in the meantime. So if you accepted the brownie and rejoiced in getting off track, hey, I ate a brownie. You're still good. You're still a valuable person. Nothing is wrong within you or outside of you. This is a coachable moment, and you can be a learner instead of a loser, starting to build that inner coach voice that's rational and compassionate instead of that emotional and judgy critic and that rebellious and impulsive rebel-driven voice. And this can really make the difference in the shift. This is the key for most people. Accept and rejoice. I got a bit off track, and now I'm flexing that muscle, staying connected with myself, and getting right back on track. Now, step 2, own what happened and yourself. And this is a chance where you can get clear with your coach, not just labeling, I'm a pig and I ate that brownie. This is where that impulse to disconnect from ourselves is so strong, right in this moment where we recognize, oh, I blew it, or that wasn't good, or I shouldn't have done that. We want to stay with ourselves in the moment, my friend. I ate the brownie. I hadn't planned on it, but I ate it. And I'm still lovable, and I'm still me, and I am still enough. It's so important to stay rooted to you, your inner essence. There is nothing wrong with you. Stay rooted in you. The brownie was a brownie, not a disqualifier of your worthiness, right? But it can feel like that, and I get it. But you know what it's like to be there for a loved one who is feeling down, or think about how you would speak to a friend in a moment where they were feeling really down on themselves. In the shift, we work on that inner coach, your inner guide, your inner nurturer. That is like that powerful you in that moment, like with the friend, but you're using that voice on you. And it becomes a resource in these weak moments where we feel so small and so wanting to disconnect from those feelings. But that powerful inner voice, that ability to be the adult with the child, that ability to be the good friend to the good friend of you, can pull us through. It's like I want you to imagine like the wise part of you holding the hand of the vulnerable part of you and guiding you across a bridge, right? That bridge over that gray feeling that feeling between good and bad. We need that powerful inner friend, that inner compassionate coach and guide to pull us over those feelings and into a new world. To help us cultivate this inner voice, it helps to practice mantras that remind you of your worth. Sometimes it's hard to feel like they're real in the moment, but if you practice saying them when you're feeling good about yourself, and then imagine being in a moment when you're feeling bad and practicing it in your mind, your subconscious can't separate fantasy from reality. So practicing being enough and using a mantra in an off-track moment will help you when you really are there. So just to synthesize that explanation all down, practice when you're feeling good about yourself ahead of time. Oh, I'm going to feel bad in the future when I get off track. It's probably going to happen, and I probably am going to feel those feelings. And when I start feeling those feelings, I'm going to remind myself of my worth. Does that make sense to you? I hope it does. I ate the brownie. I didn't expect to, but I did it, and I am enough. I am worthy. I have value. Or you could imagine your coach instead. If you don't want to say, I am worthy, I have value, you imagine your inner coach saying, you are worthy. You have value. And you may still have some negative feelings running through you in that moment, and that's okay. But what you're doing is staying connected. You're standing your ground, staying rooted in yourself, and pulling yourself through the moment with kindness, compassionate, and connection to yourself. And you're building that next plank on the bridge to staying on track. With step 1, we built that first plank. I meant to say that. Sorry, we built a plank, you guys. So let's go back to step 1 and build a plank. Okay, that plank on the bridge of going over between good and bad is built. And now we're going to build the second one with the second step, which is own what happened and yourself. And just to remind you, step 1, where we built that first plank, was accept and rejoice. So let's move on now to step 3. Forgive yourself for not doing what you had planned to do. Forgiveness connects us to ourselves on a heart level. And I'm not being woo-woo, even if it sounds like it, because they've done studies that show that self-compassion is a powerful, powerful motivator. I know if you're a student of mine or a regular podcast listener, you may have already had the step of forgiveness down, but I really feel like you can't practice it enough. So I'm going to have you practice this moment right now. I call it, for me, it's an insta forgiveness moment. You don't have to make a big scene about it, but what you really want to do is, once you have rejoiced in the fact that you've gotten off track and that you're flexing that muscle and owned, what you did, and, you've really taken that second step and acknowledged what you did, owned what happened in yourself. Forgiving yourself is going one step deeper in. So just try putting your hand over your heart. Now, I know you didn't eat a brownie, and I'm pretending I did. So I'm going to be me, having eaten a brownie. You can do this for something else, or you can just pretend. Again, practice helps us ingrain this in our mind. So put your hand over your heart, take a deep breath, close your eyes, and just say it. It's so simple. I forgive myself for eating the brownie and not having planned it. And say it 3 times, taking a deep breath in at the end of each forgiveness. And why 3 times is important is because the first time it's going to be kind of surface. The next time you're going to get a little more, and usually by the 3rd time you're feeling it. So, I forgive myself for having eaten the brownie and not having planned it, and taking that breath in. I forgive myself for having eaten that brownie and not having planned it. I forgive myself for having eaten the brownie and not having planned it. And don't forget to take that deep breath in. That really pulls that forgiveness right on in. So here's the thing, nothing is wrong per se with the brownie or you. Let's be very clear. You're not really having to forgive the brownie, but acknowledging it and forgiving it. This is really more cognitive. It's not like you're going to church and asking for forgiveness, but what you're doing are very powerful cognitive steps to bring you closer and closer to yourself, to bring you over that bridge so that you can move forward. So forgiving yourself opens your heart back up to you, because our heart holds a lot of resentment. And when we do something like eating the brownie, it gets triggered and we get into that, I'm disappointed. And owning and accepting eating the brownie gets our head in the game, and forgiveness gets our heart in the game with us. So that step is a heart moment, and that's important in our journey in these 5 steps. So next, step 4. Oh, wait a minute. Let's go back. Let's take another step. Let's build another plank. We just built the 3rd plank of the bridge. We're putting it on there. Okay, we're testing it. It's super strong. Okay, now we can go. Okay, step 4. Learn a self-care lesson from what happened. So step 4 is to learn a lesson from what happens. When we hit that eject button and just start over tomorrow, we never learn anything to help us improve. Often we get off track with the same foods, in the same times, in the same places, with the same people. So why not learn and implement change rather than just thinking someday you're going to magically just be perfect in some mystical future? So back in the brownie situation, we can ask, what happened? What did I learn? I usually like to go all the way back to the beginning of the day, if you can believe it. It's not just like, while I ate the brownie, I'm a fat pig, or I was impulsive, or, I'm a sugar addict. No. We want to go way back to the beginning of the day. Where was something in that planning or thinking things through that could have happened in the morning? When I know I may be in a place where I tend to be vulnerable, it helps so much to acknowledge this and plan for it early in the day. So much of what takes us off track isn't because we're bad or we're broken or impulsive, but because we haven't set ourselves up for success. We haven't taken that self-care time earlier to set up ourselves for that time later. And, if you think about planning for a trip, you don't just all of a sudden throw your clothes. If you're going on a long trip, like the journey to Weight Mastery, you're not just throwing your clothes in the bag and heading off. You're thinking things through. You're planning for what you need in particular situations. And in all this coaching and students I've worked with in the years and years that I've been doing this, most things fall apart for people because they neglected to take that time to think things through. And that's usually because they neglected to make themselves a priority. They never got in the habit of it. Make their time and their life a priority, making that morning time a priority to think their days through. I am very intentional with my time and my days. And I didn't used to be like that at all. I would just head into the day like, well, I hope I, have a good day. But a part of the biggest joy I have of being on my journey of weight mastery is that it's allowed me, I've had to become intentional about my life, about my week. I think my week through, I think my month through, and I'm not, am I a control freak? Well, I don't think so, but I do enjoy being able to create my life and to know, okay, things may not go as I planned, but I would love to finish this week feeling light, like I took care of myself and that I took care of my body. And what do I need to do that? What do I need to do to do that today? And sometimes there are going to be vulnerable times in my day. If I'm going to a party, if I'm going out to dinner, I just, have been to my mother-in-law's house, and I thought that all through ahead of time. Sometimes it went great and as planned, and sometimes it didn't look as pretty, and I had to kind of adjust and get back on track. But I set myself up for success as much as I could. So thinking, so when you get off track, don't lose the lesson, get the lesson so that you can implement it. And I only got those lessons when I really started to remove the shame and say, okay, this didn't go for me like I planned. And I love myself and I advocate for myself. So I want to learn something here so that the next time I'm in this situation, I don't lose like I lost right now. I want to feel like I won. I want to feel like I got something out of this. So, do I need to feed myself differently earlier would be a question I would ask myself. Should I not bring that food into my house because I know it's a trigger food would be a question I would ask myself. Do I need to practice saying no to my mother-in-law or no thank you or being okay with it before I even see my relatives? Like if I'm going into that situation, how do I be okay saying no thank you already knowing that I'm going to be saying that going into the situation? You know what I mean? Practicing it in your mind ahead of time really helps you say those things like no thank you in a way where you're honest and sincere, but you aren't letting yourself down. Like I said, I got off track over 250 times, maybe 300, maybe 400, and I learned 400 lessons. That's pretty awesome. So there were 400 things I never had to repeat and do again. Now, prior to that, in the 31 years that I was struggling with my weight, I had the opportunity to learn many lessons that I didn't learn. I just kept trying to be good. I just kept trying to be perfect, and I kept banging my head against the wall again and again. So did we just build another plank on the bridge? I think we did. Let's build that plank. And let's take that last step, and which ironically is take the next steps. And there's many steps within this last step, the fifth step. You want to create a vision of where you're going. You want to plan to get there. You want to have your next meal be a healthy meal. You want to exercise if you can and hibernate the carb zombie if needed. So let's break that down a little bit. So making a vision of where you're going next is really important in this last moment. So you've rejoiced that you've gotten off track. You've acknowledged and owned that you got off track. You've forgiven yourself, and you have learned the lesson. Now you're going to create a vision of where you're going next, because we want to pull you out of those feelings and engage you in a powerful, glamorous feeling of, or sexy feeling of, oh, how's it going to feel by the end of the week? Because I've stayed on track. I got right back on track and I'm feeding myself healthy. Whatever, let's say if you were a day off track or a brownie off track or a month off track, wherever you are, engaging your brain and where you want to go is where you're putting your focus, and where you put your focus excites your brain. Quick aside, I had a hypnotherapist friend who coached athletes, and he didn't coach athletes, sorry, but he was a hypnotherapist for athletes, and he had many kids coming in, and he would coach them. And these kid athletes would come in and be really hangdog. They were like, well, I didn't do very good at the game, and I suck, and, I should give up sports, and blah, 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 and, really down on themselves. And, when he was asking them, well, what's going on? Why you're here to see me? And then he would ask this question, and it just totally changed their posture. It changed their tone. It changed their beingness. He said, what do you like about the sport? Or what do you love about the sport you're doing? What do you love about golf? And the kid would kind of just sit up straight and go, oh, well, there's nothing like walking along the greens and hitting that ball down the fairway. I don't know anything about golf, but, or the bouncing that basketball down the court and doing a jump shoot, and the excitement of the game and the feeling of power that you get. So you could see really right up front in their faces this change in seconds just by changing the focus. So when we're feeling down and in that gray area, and we're focusing ourselves forward on that vision of who we are being, who are becoming, and I like to focus a week ahead of time. You don't have to go too far, but I just want to focus either a week or a month ahead of time and refocus yourself on the journey, where you're going, what you want to achieve, why you're achieving it. We forget in that moment that we're not just in it for the weight management, but we're in it to create a more powerful relationship with ourselves. So seeing ourselves at the end of the week, feeling connected to ourselves, feeling strong, staying on our journey rather getting back in that weight struggle, it's a really powerful thing to do in that moment for yourself. It's such a great gift just to have a vision of how you feel, look at the end of the week, that connection to yourself. You can close your eyes and do it, and just spend a moment going, okay, where do I need to go? What do I want to do? Who am I being? What am I being a week from now? Where do I want to be? And just like those athletes that were in a moment transported, shifting your focus from negative, oh, I blew it, into who am I being? I am on a weight mastery journey, and what is possible for me by the end of the week. There's so much potential in 7 days, how you can change just by getting back, eating in a way that you're nourishing and loving your body, you're moving your body, that your mind can start to focus on that. Oh yeah, I want that feeling. I want to be that person. I want who I am becoming to come to fruition, right? So we're refocusing ourselves on our path forward, and then have a plan to get there. How am I going to do that? What do I need to do? And usually the first step is to create a healthy meal for yourself. And if you've just eaten a bunch of food, then you probably don't need to eat right away, but just promise to yourself that whatever meal is next, maybe it's breakfast the next morning, or the first time you eat in the day the next morning, or maybe it's the next meal in 3 hours from now, or maybe it's right now. Sometimes If I eat something really sugary on an empty stomach that I hadn't planned to, I'll eat something like protein, definitely, that will stabilize me and make me feel more even keeled. And I do that sort of to protect myself and nourish myself so that I am feeling like I'm taking care of myself. And then I will exercise. I had a mentor once said, every time you get off track, the best thing you can do for yourself is to move your body. If you can. I mean, if it's the middle of the night, maybe not the best idea, but maybe even just doing a little dance, turning on a song from Spotify, your favorite song, and just being in your body for a few minutes, being connected, body to brain. It's such a great feeling, and it reminds you that you are you. It kind of roots you back in your body as well. Or go for a walk around the block if it's not the middle of the night. I know some of us can binge at night, and so, dance around your kitchen, or go for a walk if it's during the day, or go to the gym if you can. Just move your body. And then you might need to hibernate your carb zombie if you've really gotten triggered. If you've been eating sugar and refined carbohydrate for a number of days, chances are your brain has kind of gotten really engaged in that. And we're going to be looking at that in a couple of podcast episodes from now, how to hibernate your carb zombie, but really, take care and lower your carbohydrates for a few days and get your proteins up. Make sure you're getting at least 60 grams of protein per day if you're a woman, and making any carb choices, wholesome carbs and vegetables and fruits, and keeping the refined stuff really to a minimum, or even keeping it out of your diet for the next few days. And I say diet loosely, I just mean the way you're eating, just because that tends to flip the switch back on that dopamine driven brain that has gotten kind of off kilter and kind of is driving your eating behavior. It's not you, but it's that part of the brain just gets really engaged. And then, we end up eating stuff we don't even want to be eating just because that part of the brain just gets so engaged. So hibernate that carb zombie. It might not feel good to do that. Sometimes if we've been really off track, eating something healthy seems really disgusting and gross. I know it's a weird brain thing, but just force yourself to, and you'll be really glad you did, because within a meal or two, you're going to start feeling better, more yourself, and detached from that part of the brain that just wants to drive that overeating carb-like behavior, refined carbs, I should say. And then now with those 5 steps, let's just take that last plank and put it on that bridge. And now we have this magical bridge, this powerful bridge. It's not so magical. It's magical because of you taking yourself over that bridge one step at a time. The magic is in you when you stay connected with yourself and moving forward on your journey of weight mastery. So I hope you feel now that you have all of those 5 steps, and there's no disconnecting from yourself. There's no shame, but self-ownership, self-compassion, self-care, and a strategy to move forward. And you can see how these 5 steps can make the difference between the weight struggle and weight mastery. So if you are ready to stop struggling and make your powerful journey to long-term weight mastery, just reminding you the links are in the show notes for you not only to enroll in the 30-day weight mastery process, that is a self-study process that you get for a year, but when you enroll, you also get the live shift process this coming spring or fall, and you get the Super New Year's bonus of the Shift Weight Mastery Express, a bundle of our top 5 hypnosis downloads that include hypnosis for the desired exercise, stress management, drinking less, and more. And you can get the link in the show notes. Over $800 worth of bonuses when you enroll. Right now, though, you got to go and do it now, because this bonus is going away in a couple of days. There's a lot of information. Just click the link, and if you want to learn more about how the process works and all the details, it's all right there once you click the link. And when you enroll, I will be there on the other side to greet you in an orientation video when you enroll. So My friends, I have really enjoyed our time today. I hope you have enjoyed building that bridge over that gray area from good to bad so you can continue your journey to weight mastery. To make sure after all that building to wash your hands and take care of yourself. And remember that the key, and probably the only key to unlocking the door of the weight struggle, is inside you. So keep listening and find it. I will be here with you next week. Have a wonderful, wonderful week. Do you want to dive deeper into the mindset of long-term weight release? Head on over to www.shiftweightmastery.com. That's www.shiftweightmastery.com, where you'll find numerous tools and resources to help you unlock your mind for permanent weight release, tips, strategies, and more. And be sure to check the show notes to learn more about my book, From Fat to Thin Thinking, Unlock Your Mind for Permanent Weight Loss.